I'm going to get James to explain the more technical terms. I don't think I have seen enough knowledge about what it's like to actually own an EV versus the hybrid vehicles versus an ICE vehicle. What happens when the batteries die? Where do you put them?
At the moment, the batteries are 100% recyclable.
One of those batteries out of the 10 that we started with is no longer charging.
It's not quite like that. The wheels turning from gravity charges up the battery again. It's called regeneration.
I must say that the Nissan Leafs are particularly ugly in my opinion.
Oh, come on, it can hear you. What does it cost a month?
I thought it was about $2 per charge overnight, but it's less than that.
But they're producing, millions of cars every year that are pure EV. When those cheap EVs start coming through to the West, when they start bringing utes in big numbers, I think the change will happen faster than most people predict.
Hey everyone, I'm back charging my EV and I'm heading home. I've had a little bit of a busy time helping my sisters move. It is what it is when you're moving. You literally have a long list of things that you need to get done by a certain time and you just race to see how much you can get done. I have been using the EV going to and from around the place between houses and places where we're staying, but now I'm just doing a little bit of a charge so that I can get halfway to Otaki, and I've got about 5 minutes on the clock to go before I can get to enough juice to go back over the transmission gully. James is travelling with me. He's on convoy. He's already gone ahead. He travelled down last night to finalise all the packing things with my sisters and just loaded up the trailer with my sister's husband and got things that they need us to take home with us. So we've got both our vehicles here, and so I'm going to join him in Otaki and we'll have some dinner together. Anyway, I thought that I would do another dash cam and show you Transmission Gully again, and also when we get to Otaki I'm going to get James to show you a little bit more about the EV and explain the more technical terms, because I realised I don't think I have seen enough knowledge about what it's like to actually own an EV versus the hybrid vehicles versus an ICE vehicle. I might do some questioning with him on some of the questions that I often get asked that I can't answer correctly because I have such a basic knowledge of what EVs are and how they work. So that's coming up next after we go through Transmission Gully again. We're turning the vehicle on. It's in park. That says 88 kilometres of juice. Joined James and he bought us dinner, which was like he had a lamb kebab and I had a chicken curry kebab, and it was the messiest meal I've ever eaten in my life. I have dripped it all over my jeans. We got here and someone was using the charger, and it's just one of the things that is going to become more and more of a problem as EVs start to increase. There are plenty of charge stations for people that are complaining, oh my goodness, where will you charge your car if you got an EV? But there's not enough for the amount of people that have adopted EV travel. So we need more, and that is fast becoming a problem. We've arrived and we've been waiting about 15 minutes for a van to finish. It looks like he's finishing. James is over there having a good old chat to him. So I arrived here and there was 18 kilometers left on my battery life, and it was bleeping at me saying, you really need to get to a charging station. I had 88 kilometers when I started, so it used double what it said it would need, but we did do some really high terrain areas and I wasn't watching my speed. I was going whatever speed I felt like. If I had started with less mileage on my battery, I would have been very reserved in how much I accelerated. But I think that's always the case even with petrol. You just get very savvy about how you want to spend your dollar. So it's the same with an EV, I think. It doesn't change. I mean, technically it said it had 18 kilometres to go, but I think I would have been good for another 30 kilometres because they've got a reserve in there for urgency. Like, it's a little backup reserve. A little turtle shows up apparently. I've never got to that bit, but James has. James has been on turtle.
The speed drops to 50 k's max and you've only got about 5 to 10 kilometres to go from turtle.
So a lot of times they say, what happens when the batteries die? Isn't that just a waste? Where do you put them? And it's just terrible for the landfill.
At the moment, the batteries are 100% recyclable, and no EV batteries that end up in landfills have all been reused. Because even once they're down to like 50%, which is not great for a car, that's heaps of life to power a solar panel on a house and store that energy, or to be topped up for a solar system. So they're actually in hot demand as second-hand batteries, even when they're not useful for EVs anymore.
Right.
I think that's a way old argument. Everything in them is recyclable and valuable.
We've lost a battery in our car, like it's one of those batteries out of the 10 that we started with is no longer charging.
Oh, it's not quite like that.
So how does it work? So
that's the degradation of the battery overall.
Yeah.
So it starts up with 12 bars and now it's down to 10.
Yes.
So the overall, all of the batteries are degraded a little bit.
Yes.
It means that overall capacity of the battery is reduced. It's the same size battery, it's all being used, but it's not quite as healthy as it used to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that there's a technical term for it, and that is I'm going along up Transmission Gully and it drains off 15 kilometres of juice. So I go from 55 and I'm now only at 40. But then when I start going down, it starts putting those kilometres back. What is happening?
So your battery powers the motors. When you're going downhill, the wheels turning from gravity charges up the battery again. It's called regeneration. If you put electricity into an electric motor, it spins. But if you spin the electric motor, electricity comes out. So when you're going down a hill, because it doesn't need to power the wheels spin the electric motor and recharge the battery. It's called regeneration. So it collects electricity back from your downhill glide.
I think that makes sense.
And also when you're braking, because that slows the car down a bit. So if you're braking, a lot of that energy used in braking is used to recharge the batteries.
So why are petrol vehicles on the way out?
They're on the way out because an electric car is a better car. It's simpler, more powerful, easier to maintain, and has a longer overall life. A lot longer overall life. And that Nissan Leaf, there's 23 or so moving parts in the whole car. So maintenance is minimal.
Maintenance is brake pads, tyres.
That's it. I was in Auckland for the last 6 weeks, right? And the buses go past and they're smoky and horrible, and in the morning you get out to watch the sunrise and it's covered in smog in Auckland. If everyone drove EVs, it wouldn't be like that. It's that simple. You wouldn't have any smog. Of all the cars and buses going past, and electric buses are in Auckland.
What about
now,
factories and stuff though?
but they're not causing the smog in Auckland. What causes smog in Auckland is traffic, the sheer volume of cars.
And what about petrol heads that they do not want to let go of their
Oh look, I get it.
vehicles?
Change is hard and humans don't like change, and everyone's got reasons why they want to keep their ute, and there's heaps of drama around that. But I don't think we're going to get a choice. The world is going to go EV. It's like someone saying, I want to keep my horse and cart. And that horse and cart stayed around for a long time after vehicles were introduced, but eventually you got to get a car. And the same's going to happen with EVs. Like, they are so much better than petrol cars.
We were spending $5,000 a year on petrol for James to commute to work, which was about half an hour each way, so an hour's commute on average, which was costing us $5,000 a year. So we bought our Nissan 3 years ago for $15,000, and I figured that if we had it for 3 years, it would be no different to owning a petrol vehicle. Let's give it a go. We've had it for 3 years, and it barely changed in its quality of its performance is the same, its range is the same, and so now we technically have our vehicle and it doesn't cost us anything. It does cost us to charge it at home.
What does it cost a month?
I thought it was about $2 per charge overnight, but it's less than that. We actually got one of the electric vehicle companies, they installed a charger in our garage for us to use because they wanted to monitor what people were using regularly that owned EVs. And what it came back as about $1.50 per charge. So I thought it was about $60 a month, but it's about $40 a month to have our EV running every day, all the time.
And I'm doing at least a 70-kilometre round trip to work every day.
Easily.
And we'd have two if we could, like the kids would use it, we use it on weekends.
Yeah.
Powerful enough to take like 4 teenagers and hoon around town, and it's a big enough hatchback to do what we need to do.
Yeah.
I can fit a 3-metre length of timber in it from the back seat between the aisle.
It's not tiny, it's as good as any car. I must say that the Nissan Leafs are particularly ugly in my opinion.
Oh come on, it can hear you.
But some of the newer ones are starting to look a little kinder to the eye.
Like this one looks pretty good, eh? Look at that with a nice arrow
It's
cap
a
on
little bit nicer, the more modern EVs. Should we go and turn it off?
I'm going to see what it's up to. It's going to check my phone.
We're going to look here, we're going to see what it's up to.
Charge net.
It tells us on our app.
So where's it up to?
80%. That'll get me home easily, surely.
We'll get up to 90 just so you can be sure, eh? You're not stressing. That costs $10, so there is a cost to it, eh? Like it.
Costs me about $12 for a 100% charge.
Yeah.
And we know that this
Yeah.
EV isn't ideal for these longer trips, but it was inevitable. We had to do it this time. We only do it when we have to. So that's 81%.
You think that's enough?
Can you show me a calculator and 81% of 130? Because that's how many kilometres I'll have.
What's 130?
That's a 100% charge.
Oh, so that's 0.81 times 130, 105 kilometres.
That's
Heaps.
fine. Yeah.
Good to go?
Yeah. So this is actually the following night after we got home, and I'm finishing the video, and I thought that there'd be a little bit more explanation required for how we actually have it set up at home to charge our vehicle. So I thought I'd get James to explain it.
You ready?
Okay. Yes, James. So tell me how it works. We come home, and how do we plug it in?
The EV comes with a plug that plugs into a standard wall plug in your house or garage.
Yes.
It's 8 amps. All that means is for the Nissan Leaf, it takes like 8 hours to charge a basic Nissan Leaf.
Overnight, eh?
Yeah, so all overnight. So it's really slow. So we've got this one installed, which doubles that charging rate. So it charges the car to full in twice the speed. It can do 4 times the speed, but the car won't let it. So the charger that comes with it that plugs into your house is 8 amps. This can charge up to 36 amps. You can download an app on your phone. You can track how much it's costing you to charge your EV and all bits and pieces like that.
So this is the bit that we have that runs.
We just hang this outside our garage like this. Garage door just sits on it.
Yep.
And then when we come home, whoever uses the car last charges the Nissan Leaf. I've set a timer so it's fully charged when I go to work in the morning at 7. And it's got these little bars here. So it's 3 blue bars. It tells you it's charging just like a cell phone pretty much.
Yeah.
You can choose to charge the batteries fully charged to 100% or to 80%, which if you're not using the full 100%, it's better for the batteries not to fully charge them every single time, apparently. So when we're around town and at the weekends, 80% is heaps because it's being charged all the time.
I really just wanted him to explain a little bit about the charge stuff because I don't always explain it well, and I just wanted to do it some justice. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you spending time with us. Bye for now, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.